Hey guys, I'm King David, and welcome to the LiME Academy podcast. Today we're going to be talking about multiculturalism, and we're going to we have two guests joining us today for our talk, and we're going to be having one of our LiMErs, Nichi, leading the talk. But firstly, I want to say that tomorrow, the 23rd of August, is going to be the 1 year anniversary of our LiME book. And it's great to reach this accomplishment, this milestone. And it was challenging writing the book, but along with my fellow limers, we got through it. And yeah, we're here a year later, or almost a year later. And yeah, it's just been awesome and amazing feeling. So yeah, again, I want to welcome you, the audience, to the podcast. And if you guys or have any questions, just write in the comment section down below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us what you want to see as well, because we'll try and get it as much as you. And LiME is focused on enabling you guys with soft skills that you guys can use. So whatever soft skills you guys think you guys will need in the future, we'll try and get that to you. But right now I'm going to invite my fellow LiMers to join me. And yeah. There we are. Yeah, so today with me, I have Nichi, I have Keisha, I have Ephraim, and I also have Rika. Today we're joined by our special guests, Ephraim and Rika. Rika is an expert in the field of multiculturalism, and today Nichi is going to be leading our talk on multiculturalism. So yeah, right now I'm just going to hand off to him so he can start today's podcast. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great time, and also don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also, any questions you want us to answer, just drop it in the comment section below. Over to you, Nichi, right?
All right. So they say multiculturalism is the bridge between many cultures. So without further ado, ciao, guten tag, ni hao, hello, and welcome to the second episode of the LiME Academy podcast. The topic of discussion for this week is multiculturalism. Now, I know that multiculturalism might be a touchy topic with the situation we're in right now. So let's start off with something that's a bit lighter. First of all, for those of you in the comments, the first question of the day is for you guys. Do you guys have any multicultural foods? Yeah, that's for you guys on stage as well. Let's start with Keisha. Do you have any multicultural foods?
Yes, I do. So can I name a few?
Yeah, of course.
So idlis, rice obviously I know is one of the Indian things. Curries as well. You guys may have heard of it. There are also some things like idiyappam, and I didn't hear of it up until I came here, in fact. So we just have a huge cuisine in India. There are different parts, so north, south, west, east, and each state, each part actually has their own food. So for instance, in ours it would be rice, but in the south it's got to be like idlis and dosas and all that sort of thing. So a huge amount of like culture and different languages and all that as well. Over to you, King David.
For me, yeah, we have a variety of foods. Yeah, we have rice, we have yam, we have plantain, we have eba, amala, and even like soups and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of things, and because Africa, yeah, it's separated into 3 different parts. So each part have their own cuisine that they eat. And yeah, just a whole bunch of things. But yeah, we have been influenced by the Western culture quite a bit, but haven't been there in a long time. So yeah, but yeah, what one makes at home, that's basically it.
I'm noticing in the comments that there aren't a lot of people talking about what kind of foods they're eating. I'm assuming momentous mixes. James, John, delete myself. I'm assuming you guys don't eat yap and hero. as your multicultural foods. So in the chat, can I please get some multicultural foods that you have at home? I assume everyone in the chat eats at some point, right? Yeah.
Mm, 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 mm.
Oh, I've just seen a couple comments coming through that saying pizza and spaghetti. Yeah, that's pretty good. I actually speak a little bit of Italian. So let's move on to the second question, which is, do you know any other words in any other languages? Or maybe you're multilingual. Share it with us. We'd love to know. As we know, language is a huge part of any culture. And a culture without language is hard to develop. So
Yeah.
can anyone tell us what kind of languages they speak, or maybe they learn languages at school? Yeah. What about you guys on stage? Rika, I'd like to ask you what language you speak.
My mother tongue, my first
Yeah,
language
yeah,
is Japanese.
Mm.
Then also I do speak Malay or Indonesian. Only good enough to go to market.
Okay.
And also I did study Spanish, so I do understand when I hear it,
That's
but
so
speaking
good.
right, not so good.
That's so good.
That's really
And
interesting.
English, yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. English, of course.
True.
How about you guys? King David, Keisha, what about you guys? Your languages?
Keisha, you can go first.
Okay, thanks. So, well, actually, I know a few words, and it's going to be night if I keep saying all of them. But I did type into our private chat that in Hindi I know Namaste, and in Japanese Konnichiwa,
That's so good.
and quite a few others.
For me, like, yeah, I know Konnichiwa, Namaste, all that stuff. But yeah, I know how to speak English, and I also understand my mother tongue, which is Yoruba. I understand it. I can speak it sometimes, but like I don't really need to speak it because I just interpret what is being said and reply back in English. But yeah, those are the two languages. I did learn a bit of French, but that was a long time ago. Like I haven't spoken French.
Would you guys like to speak some of that language? In the chat, I can see some people learn Japanese, 日本语. I can see some people learning German, Sinhalese, and Italian, which is great because we have about 200-ish countries on this earth, and that's really good that we can already speak a lot of the languages. So would you guys like to say something in your mother tongue?
Hello.
English, good old English. Good old English.
There you go. I've done English, so no one can do English anymore. That's it.
Rika, would you like to say anything in Japanese?
はい、こんにちは。元気ですか?
Actually, can I jump in? I actually understand a tiny bit of Mandarin.
Oh, do you?
A tiny bit of Mandarin?
Yeah. Is it? I'm gonna butcher this.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
Wajajin or wajai or wajin?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I speak a little Mandarin myself. Yeah. 我在家里讲中文, so I just said I speak Chinese at home, and parlo un po' italiano. I speak a little bit of Italian as well. Yeah. So yeah, there's that for languages. Oh, I'm seeing a variety of languages in the chat, which is really good. Multiculturalism. Yeah.
Well, I can say Namaste, which means hello. I'm trying to think of some other short words.
Come on, King David, you can try some Yoruba.
Yeah, go for it.
Shewakwa, that's my favorite Yoruba saying because it just sounds so slang word. Shewakwa, Odabo, Ekaro. I don't always pronounce it properly. Yeah, Ekubadum, Ekale. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Omomeji, Omometa, that's it. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of countries on this earth, and now I hope you guys can all see the importance of languages. So I urge you guys to all go learn a language at some point. It's really good for you. All right, next to our third question. For you adults on stage, so Mr. Ephraim and Miss Rika, what was the migration process for you guys? What was the migration process for you guys like?
I think it looks like Ephraim is having a bit of issues with the video and microphone, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
So my migration experience, I actually migrated to Australia how many years ago already? 2006. I arrived here 2006. Whoa. I came in the category of skilled migration and applied in the capacity as marketing specialist, which was one of that occupation listed in the category. And and then went for the English test, as all the migrants do, English tests, and then a lot of paper. I still remember to compile the paper. It took me so long. But then once I submitted, the process was quite fast. I think in about less than a year, I got the result.
That's so good.
I'm over.
That's so good.
Can you describe what the difference is like being... You came in 2006, so can you describe what it's like 14 years in Australia compared to your childhood home?
Okay, I actually been away from Japan for quite a number of years. Over 30 years I've been away. And I, in fact, worked in South Australia for 4 years before I actually migrated to Western Australia. And it's very different. Lifestyle is very different in Japan. I still remember I used to spend like 2 hours just to get to work. And those years I was teaching Japanese as a second language. And commuting was, anyway, the first thing comes to my mind is the commuting was just totally different. Spending 2 hours on a crowded train. And then now here in Western Australia, I can at least drive to work. But again, saying that, when I first migrated, there was no jam on the Mitchell Freeway. But now, it's just totally jam during the morning hours, commuting hours. It's amazing.
Wow. So can I give it a shot? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think similar to Rika, came in a little bit earlier, 2003. I didn't have to do the English test. Oh, thank God for that. I don't know whether I would have passed it.
That's good.
For what I'm hearing about all the English tests and the story, and the horrible story, actually. People that can speak English fluently, but they cannot pass English tests. It's still anyway, to my story, came in here with my family, skilled migrant, as a petroleum engineer. I worked in the petroleum industry for a while. So it's been quite good. There's always, like most of my books, there have been the good, the challenges, and the lessons I've learned over the time.
Yeah.
Back to you, Nietzsche.
Yeah. King David and Keisha, knowing that you guys are some of the younger youths who still have parents of immigration history, would you like to share what it's like? Would you like to share what it's like being someone of another culture in Australia?
Yeah, I'll go first. For me, it wasn't too difficult. I came when I was in year 3, and I understand that I wasn't born here, but I've been brought up with both sides of being in Africa and being here. So I've been brought up with both sides. So I kind of converge with it. And the good thing about me coming here is that I had a lot of experience being in Africa, if I can say that, because yeah, I came here when I was 8, so 8 years of my life was spent there. So I got to know the customs, I got to know the culture and everything, and then I came here with the understanding I already did. Yeah, when I came here, like the way I spoke then is not the way I speak now. Probably sounded a lot more African than it does now,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been good. Like sometimes it's like a bit challenging because yeah, with parents that are from um Africa, it's like, oh yeah, this stuff is not meant to happen and all that stuff. And also it doesn't matter where you are. Like if your culture is your culture, that's your culture. It doesn't matter if you go to America, like that's still your culture. But like it's just yeah, different like sometimes cultures did clash. But yeah, it's been good. It's been like steady. And yeah,
Yeah.
steady. Yeah.
Keisha, what about you?
Well, I actually came here when I was almost in year 6, you would say. So mine, I think I was a little bit older than King David when I came here, maybe.
Yeah.
The thing is that I got moved down here, and so did my brother when we were in school. So I actually finished year 12 or so a year or so later. I this wouldn't say I struggled as much, but the thing is that the style of learning over here, the style of education is much more different compared to India. The amount of, I'd say, stress in over here in the primary schools, you don't actually have exams, and over there, we had exams since year 1. Probably even when we
Yeah.
were like younger than that, we had exams like that was, and that was every single term. It wasn't just like the semester, and then after that, it would be the exams. It was every single term. We had 3 terms in that school, so there were no semesters; they were just terms. But every single term, we had exams on every single subject. There was no ATA or general pathway, so everyone had to do exams,
Yeah.
obviously. And on top of that, over here, if you do fail a year, you don't stay back. Over there, you actually have to stay back up until you pass that year.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
So it was very different. And that's why every time when I used to get back from primary school and mom asked what I did all day, I said I did nothing. Not because we were not doing anything, but it's because compared to what we were doing in Kuwait, meaning in our Indian school, it was nothing. Thanks. Over to you, Nietzsche.
Well, it's time for you guys in the comments to share what multiculturalism is like for you guys. So I know that schools in Australia, like for example in my school, we have like a chart, and it's like a huge chart that says where a bunch of people are from. So people in the chat who are from maybe school or maybe who are younger, who are maybe older, you guys want to share what a multicultural experience for you guys is like? Maybe you guys want to share, I don't know, maybe your background, your parents' background, maybe, multicultural, There are around, I don't know, 200-ish countries in this world. And yeah, so you guys can share.
So I was just thinking, Nietzsche, while they are sharing, I know that the comments will be coming through. We can also just ask Rika once in a while to train a bit of her view what multiculturalism really is in terms of deep research. But please keep going. You're doing a good job, Nietzsche.
I think Ephraim asked Rika a question, but I couldn't quite hear. So
Oh, the question was
yeah.
like what research you've done on
Oh.
multicultural
Okay.
understanding of it, yeah.
How do you define multiculturalism? Bunch of different cultures, yeah, put it simply. But
Yeah.
then what I think, I'm going to give my personal view at this. We always say Australia is a very multicultural country because we consist of many migrants, and all the people, majority of people, I think according to the statistics in 2016, almost 50% of people in Australia, they were either born overseas or have at least one parent born overseas. So
Yeah,
that's a
so
huge number, huge number. So with the number, it is very multicultural. Yeah, we got different faces. You look at this screen, we can tell already there are so many different faces. Yeah.
yeah,
Then my work, what I'm dealing with is whether we are making that multiculturalism or cultural diversity work at its best or not.
mm,
So it's almost like a, puzzle pieces, different pieces of puzzles. And then you have the puzzle pieces in the box, and then you tip it over onto the table.
Oh, okay.
But just tipping over on the table, you can't really make any pictures. You still have to work and put the pieces together to make one perfect picture. So for me, multiculturalism is more of, that's why I like to actually call it intercultural, because intercultural actually have a notion of more action.
Yeah.
So we need the action to come with the multiculturalism so that it works better. And all the different culture get together like a puzzle pieces, and then we can make a beautiful picture together. So that's how I see it. That's how I see the multiculturalism.
yeah.
Well, as a youth, for me personally, and I'm sure for you guys commenting out there, I haven't lived that many years on this earth yet, and I still can't make a accurate judgment of what multiculturalism really is. But for me personally, at this moment, I feel like multiculturalism is like the concept of how the different cultures can communicate and work with each other. Because, at the end of the day, we all live on the same earth, and there's no better way of communicating with each other by, being friends with each other and like working each other in different scenarios. So yeah, that's kind of my view on what multiculturalism is right now. What about you, King David and Keisha?
Yeah, for me, basically what Rico said, and that analogy was so good because we have multiple cultures, multiple people, a lot of people from different places in Australia, but it's not necessarily like not working, but like it's just a bit out of place because not everything is accepted, even though Australia is viewed as a multicultural country. Like you can go to some parts of Australia and people are not able to practice their beliefs, practice the roots that they had back home, coming here for a better life, where they feel like they could be able to express themselves even more. Most of the stuff that they do is not fully accepted, and that's like with the culture. And that's something that we need to put into action so we can create a beautiful picture. So people can say that Australia is a country where they definitely keep their promise of having multiculturalism, and that's what I feel. But multicultural, like I would say it's a great concept because it's more than a concept. It's something great, and each person, depending on your culture, depending on your beliefs, like you have different things to offer. So when I look at a problem and what I see is not the same thing probably Rika would see, is not the same thing that Keisha, Ephraim, or even yourself, which you would see because of our culture, the way we've been raised. Because we are raising up your parents, the way your parents were raised up was based on their parents' culture, and the way your parents raised you up is based on their cultures. Everyone has different things to offer, and like that's something that we all need to understand, and like no need to shun. Oh yeah, because it's different, he doesn't belong here. That doesn't make any sense because like because he's different, he should belong here because we can learn from him, he can learn from us, so we can all like not integrate, it's like combine together to make something beautiful. But
Oh, well, I've seen in the chat, someone has said that there are many different people of different cultures in my classes at school, which, I think that's a classic example of multiculturalism in our everyday lives. in my classes, I've seen people of many different skin tones and people who can speak a bunch of different languages. And I think that that's what a big part of multiculturalism is about. And as we mentioned earlier, multiculturalism can be a bit of a touchy subject. So now we want to move to a bit more of the controversial side of discrimination and racism. And we're all of different backgrounds here, so I assume we've all faced some kind of discrimination before. So if you don't mind, I'll share my experience of discrimination. So I think there's a bunch of stereotypes surrounding like a bunch of different cultures. There's negative and positive stereotypes surrounding people of African descent, people of Asian descent, and people of a bunch of other descents. And discrimination is definitely not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go first. Personally, I haven't really had any major incidents with discrimination or racism. Like, kids my age, or even when we were young, not really my age anymore, but when we were younger, used to make jokes like, "Oh yeah, racist," because like teachers wouldn't like let us do things, but they would let other people do things. But also because of like, I won't say behavior, because they know that if they let you, like for example, would ask to go outside and work, and then the teacher wouldn't let us, but would let other group go. But we know that because like we won't do any work. But yeah, again, I've not faced any big issues in discrimination, but something that does strike me every single time is when I go to the shops or when I'm in the bus or like anywhere, I won't say public space, it can even be not public space, but you're walking, like for example at the shops, when I go to the shops and I get out of my car, if there's someone else getting out their car right next to me or around me, they'll walk away, and then like as soon as they see me, they'll turn around, make sure to lock their car, and then like walk into the shops, or even walking in person most times, people like clutch their bags even more. And like for example, I was going on the bus after school one day, like I had my school logo, I got a Rossmoyne. By the way, for everyone to know, I go to Rossmoyne, and like yeah, Rossmoyne is known as a pristine school and a good school. Yeah, I had my logo and everything, and then this elderly man, I thought that he was sleeping, so like I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then his shopping bag was next to him, and it was about to fall. I was like, oh, this man's sleeping. Let me get it for him so it doesn't fall on the floor, doesn't make a scene. Maybe if he was going to feel a bit embarrassed, but he wasn't actually sleeping. And then the shopping bag was about to tip over, and then he grabbed it. But then I already reached for it because I thought he was sleeping. And then he looked at my hand and looked up at me, then fully clenched his bag towards him. But also, it's miscommunication that really leads to discrimination. But then there's other cases that my mates have told me of like blatant discrimination and stereotyping. But yeah, that's just for me. I haven't really experienced any like thing fully directed at me, but just miscommunication. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Miscommunication is definitely a huge aspect that contributes to discrimination. But however, obviously times have changed. Yeah. And so now I'd like to ask Ephraim and Rika, what were some of the discrimination experiences that you guys have had? Because I understand that maybe in the 2000s, 2010s, the times have changed. Society is now different, and society is being encouraged to think more open-minded. But maybe in other times, it might have not been so open-minded. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Before I talk about that, let me just explain one thing. The neuroscience, this brain, right? Yeah. The main function of our brain is to protect us. And it's quite interesting that subconsciously our brain keeps working, right? And then whatever we see in our outer world, we tag. Everything is tagged and then stored in our brain. So when next time when we encounter with something which is not familiar with what we experienced or we had idea before, the brain just stops from it. So it's, in a way, it's the unconscious bias that I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
So it's quite, frankly speaking, I'll be very honest here. Before, I did not know anyone from African community.
Mm.
And because I have Asian look, when I walk into the room, it is so easy for me to get drawn to a group of Asian looking people, because that's what the brain is making me feel and think. Oh,
Yeah.
I want to go to I want to take
Yeah.
the safer option.
Yeah.
Yes. But what
Yeah.
changed is, look, now I got to know Ephraim, King David, Nish, Kisha. So that personal connection with one person who is different from me
Yeah.
actually makes my brain start tagging, it's okay. It's safe. So I'm having this personal experience, personal connection with somebody who are different from me. And that accumulation of the experience actually opens the door to a real multicultural connection.
Yeah, come on.
Okay. Yeah.
That's so good. That's
Yeah.
so
So
good.
That's really good.
it's quite good. But this thing doesn't really come naturally. We all have to work intentionally and deliberately. Like when I first met Ephraim, frankly speaking, he was not the first person that I approached and talked to.
Well,
But then I thought, okay, he looks interesting. I'm going to go. So it had to be an intentional action that I took to get to know him. And then we've been known each other since. And then that opens up my, broaden my experience with cultural diversity. So I think it's quite sad and it's quite discouraging when we face these, discrimination and racist behaviors. Yes,
Yeah.
it's there. But when I think, okay, this is something that the brain is contributing, maybe it's not his intention, and that gives me a bit more tolerance to go along with it and think, oh, his brain is not working properly. So that's one comment from me.
If my audio will be clear enough, do you guys hear me?
It's
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now I'll talk quickly if I lose my audio. Rika said a lot there. I wouldn't take time because it's you guys show, but I really more focus on what. I mean, I've had some rough episodes. For example, if you, even as a manager in the oil and gas industry, sometimes you walk into a seminar, maybe you come in early. The assumption is that you have come to clean as a black person or as a colored person. That stereotype is that, oh, this must be the cleaner or this must be the driver.
yeah.
I've been addressed that way until I have to now explain myself
Yeah.
that no, I'm not here to clean, I'm here to present the technical paper and authority. So it's, those kind of things over time, it can chisel on your confidence if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And that is why when I was asked one time when I did during the Harmony Week in a school, what is the hope of multiculturalism surviving in Australia? For me, the hope is youth. So I want to bring it back to you guys. How are you going to help us navigate multiculturalism? Because some people don't seem to like it. What do you guys think? How can we make it better for us?
I think hearing your question, I think it's just that society before, they were very afraid of change, and I think that's just a general statement. And as a youth, I think I've also learned that general society is afraid of change, but when the change happens, it's up to the youth to make the transition so that our future generations can have an more open mindset, you know?
Mind. Yeah. So
Yeah.
true. So true. And yeah, just adding on to Nietzsche, it's like it's education to me because I go start with an example because before I came to Australia, I thought Nigeria was the only country in the world.
Yeah.
And like, imagine an 8-year-old thinking Nigeria is the only country in the world. And at 8, you're already in year 3. So it's education, and we need to get it into um into the kids as like quickly as possible. And it's just like with things like racism. Racism isn't like you're born and like, oh yeah, you're racist, or oh, you're born and oh yeah, you're discriminatory, or you stereotype people. It's taught over time. So education, teaching people that people are different. Like not everyone has to be like you. Because yeah, imagine if everyone looked the same, everyone liked the same things, everyone talked about the same thing. How quickly would the world get boring? Like everyone just comes into work wearing the same shirt, the same pants. Hey, did you watch the game last night? Yeah, I watched the game last night. Yeah, I watched the game, and they just keep going and going. Yeah, you watch the game, and the games are different, but like after a while, it's going to be talking about the game like that, and that's going to get boring. But if you walk into work, everyone's wearing different things. So it's like, oh, you didn't watch the game last night? Yeah, I did, but also did you watch this and this TV show as well? Like people add their differences into the conversation. That like 100%. That's a bit more flavorsome, a bit more interesting than just having one thing. So 100% starts with education and also people being accepting that everyone is different. Not everyone is going to be the same. And if you want everyone to be the same, then buddy, you're gonna, I won't say struggle, but like you're not going to get along with everyone that you meet, and people are not going to get along with you. So yeah, that's basically what I think about. The thing is educating the youth as soon as possible, educating the kids as soon as possible, and leaving a good legacy for multiculturalism. Because people like, I feel like multiculturalism is a term that has been around for a long time, but it's being used recently because yeah, people are like, oh yeah, we have to find a word for inclusivity of different culture, but like from the get go, like multiculturalism like has been there, and we need to accept it that it's not that it's gonna go away. It's always gonna be there. So yeah.
Yeah. I think as youths, we have an important role to transition this change in
Yeah.
society. And so, you know, at LiME Academy, repping the LiME Project shirt, at LiME Academy, we encourage everyone to have an open mindset as well as
Yeah.
developing a range of other skills. So my next question, while we're on the topic of multiculturalism, is for Ephraim. How did you come up with the concept of the multicultural professional bridge?
Oh, I hope my audio does not fail me again because I like this question, Nietzsche. It really all about what you just said. How can we make it better for people? How can we close the gaps? So, having experienced it myself, because as you guys know, when you have a lived experience, the way you will handle issues will be different from someone that is trying to make money, even though it's good to make money as well. So, spoke to a few partners, a few people in the same situation, and even those that are locals. MPB, which is short for Multicultural Professional Bridge, also has local people that are known from a particular region that are not migrants, because we all have to work together. So yes, Nietzsche, going back to your question, it was driven by need. I felt it, I lived it. We don't want people coming over to have to go through the same pain.
Yeah.
They may still go through something, but hopefully we can relieve a few for them. And the same thing with LiME. That's why LiME came about, because the teens that are catching up with adults, even though Nietzsche has really said it well, I think the youth mindset is different.
Yeah.
but they still experience the issues. So we just need to make it easier for those coming behind. That is the whole
Yeah.
essence.
Yeah, for true, for a fact.
Yeah.
That's so true. Leaving a legacy that develops over time and like gets stronger. But yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Well, Keisha, I've noticed that you haven't been talking a lot. What's your entire take on this of our conversation right now?
Well, see, when I came to Australia, I didn't experience it as much. There was still a bit of, you could say, discrimination and racism here and there, but people seem to be quite open to it. Also, well, in high school, actually, I did have quite a few friends who were Indian as well. But the thing with India is that it's quite, well, it is probably smaller than Australia in size, but every, you could say, place. So, for instance, whether that be South India, well, I'm from the West, but South India would have so many different languages compared to to West India, because I have learned a couple of words as well. Sometimes I've asked my
Yeah.
South Indian friends how and all to do it, but not everyone is probably open to actually, your accent, or, and I haven't experienced it as much, but some people have bullied,
Mm,
and it wasn't too bad, but I've actually experienced some people bullying a teacher itself. Like, I
yeah.
think that was, yeah, I did go and tell the teacher in private and all that. All of that happened and all that. I tried, well, I actually don't bully because I'm very open. I love to learn about, whether it even be Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love to learn all the different languages. I love to learn about all the different cultures. And I feel that Australia also has quite a bit to offer
Yeah.
with regards to language and whatever Dreamtime stories and all. The first time I started hearing those, they were just amazing, I felt.
Mm.
And I feel that all cultures should be open to each other to learn new things and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, isn't that interesting how all of us here are of different backgrounds, and Rika, Keisha, and King David and Ephraim, we all have different views. Rika said something about the neuroscience and the psychology of how discrimination could be an intrinsic thing, that it doesn't come intentionally. While King David's point of view is that it's taught by the education, by the way the youths are taught. So I think it's really interesting how, like, both people, one of Rika obviously a bit older than King David, King David being a bit young, me being a bit younger as well, and we all have different views on the same topic. Yeah. So for those of you in the audience, what's your take on this topic of discrimination? Meanwhile, while you guys are replying, I'd like to ask everyone on stage, do you guys have friends of diverse backgrounds? Because I
Yes.
know that, yeah, because I know that having friends of diverse backgrounds is a really good way of opening your mind, and as Rika said before, is intentionally trying to expand and comforting your brain that a difference between cultures isn't danger. Yeah.
Mm.
Inish, can I just mention you asked a perfect question because there is this intercultural competence assessment tool, and 70,000 people in the world have taken this assessment test, and the research shows those people who have culturally diverse friends normally scores really high in intercultural competences. It is proven scientifically that when you have culturally diverse friends with a culturally diverse background, your competency level goes up. And it's quite interesting, like students, when they go overseas, their competence goes up. But when they come back and then they start if they don't maintain the culturally diverse friends circle and go back to their monocultural circle, their intercultural competence actually drops again.
Oh,
So having friends with culturally diverse background, it's so important to maintain your intercultural competence level. And then again, when you go into the professional world, yeah, it's so global nowadays that you have no choice but to work with people from other cultures. And then the intercultural competence actually influences how you manage those situations. So the friends important.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Can
know,
I
at
just
LiME.
add to-
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Let me just go with Rika there, just to add a bit on that. Really, it's a good question. Most of the time, like Rika said, we gravitate towards our lives, our kind of people. It's natural. But if multiculturalism must survive, we have to shift. And this is where I have to say, I hope it's a youth. Youth these days, like my children, their friends, not necessarily their kind. So they mix so quickly. Whenever we talk about discrimination and stereotypes, do you know that sometimes, even among multicultural people, we do it to ourselves? I'll go back to MPB, Multicultural Professional Bridge. I realized that it's been very challenging to break into the circle of the Chinese, for example. Sorry, I'm trying to be stereotypic here.
Okay.
To break into the Indian cycle here. For an Indian person to see an African person say, let's work together. Until we get to that point, and this is where I think you guys, the youth, are really good at, I think multiculturalism may not take off. So, good question, Nietzsche. We need to be intentional.
Yeah.
We need to do it more and more.
Perfect.
So at the LiME Academy, we're all about being multicultural, being open-minded, and more importantly, making new friends to expand, our open mindset. So, while we're on the topic of that, the LiME book, a handbook for migrant youth, peer-to-peer wisdom for those who've done that. The topic for today is chapter 2, which is obviously multiculturalism. Tomorrow is August 23rd, which just so happens to be the first year anniversary of the book. So let me just show you the cover for chapter 2. I'm not going to show you too much because if you want to read the rest of the book, you're gonna have to check it out on Amazon, So here's some of the book. Yeah. Front cover here. A glimpse into the world of migrant youth. So we wrote this book around last year, but we started planning it around 2 years ago. So basically, it was our perspective on what the world was like at that moment in time. So obviously, some of the things that we said might have changed from now. Some of the things may have stayed the same. It's a concept of humanities called continuity and change. So yeah.
Yeah, like it's hella exciting that 1 year anniversary of the book, because it's out and it's not like it's gonna diminish over time, because a book is a book. Like where we haven't been able to go, the book could get there and it helps people out in like different situations. And the book is mainly focused on Australia, but most of the concepts there, like multiculturalism, technology, mental health, and other things could help people out in America. It doesn't matter if you're not in Australia or if you're in Australia, it can still help you out, because it's just what we've done, what we've experienced, our knowledge poured down into you guys. So check it out, guys. Check it out. It's like really good, and
Yeah, so this book is only one of the projects that we've been doing. So, some other projects that we could be considering doing is that, well, obviously we're doing the podcast now, but we're also there's a possibility that we could get into a documentary as well. So, if you guys want to know a bit more information about that, our social is at the LiME Academy on Instagram, Multicultural Professional Bridge 1 on Facebook, and LiME Academy and Multicultural Professional Bridge on YouTube. Yeah.
You all are doing amazing work.
Thank you very much.
And then
Thank
all the ideas you all have, maybe it's much better than our generation, Ephraim.
No, I'm just here, just in awe what they are achieving. They are really the future. They are the ones to take it to the next level. Well done, guys.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that was our podcast, but we're gonna stay on because we do have quite a bit of time left. And whatever questions you guys have as an audience, or you guys want to get in touch with us, message us on our Instagram at the LiME Academy, Facebook, Multicultural Professional Bridge, our email as well, which is going to be down below. And also, if you know myself, Keisha, Nichi, Ephraim, Rita outside, just get in touch with them. They can also get in touch with LiME Academy. And you can ask us your questions, or you can even ask us right now, because we're keen for you guys to ask us questions, because why not? But Uncle Ephraim asked this question before, but I don't think it was really addressed. But what can be done, not just by the youth, but by everyone, to help with help push the idea and the culture of multiculturalism? Yeah, myself, I said education. And something else I want to add is that when we see discrimination, racism, we shouldn't just let it slide, even if it is like a joke, something. If it's an insensitive joke, if it's something that you like, if you put your shoes in the culture or the race that is being made fun of, how would you feel? Always do that. So whenever you get like a glimpse of it, like cut it off at the roots, because from there on, it can only escalate. It doesn't go down. It can only escalate, even if it is just a joke. It can then escalate. So that's something that us can feel. So I'm just going to throw it out to the group as well. What do you think that we can do, not just as a youth, but as we have the old generation here. What do you think we can do as a collective to help push the idea, the concept of multiculturalism?
I think obviously I'll have something to say here too. I don't think we're running out of time, but very good question. The first thing I would say that we need to recognize that the whole issue of race, history, and the issue of race, stereotype, and multiculturalism, and how to avoid it has a lot of history behind it. People cannot just change. Sometimes I know that people don't want to revisit history, but if you want to appreciate where we are, you may have to go back to history. At the same time, we don't want to stay back there. We need to move forward. So I think this kind of conversation we've had today, being led by youth to youth with engagement, I think it's one of the key ways forward. That we can keep engaging, having open, honest conversation. Because sometimes people don't want to address it. King David, you mentioned something very critical just now. The power of the bystander.
But what did you say, sir?
See the power of the bystander. If you see anything wrong, that you should say something, please don't overlook. Say something. Of course, that will be safe. I'm not saying that you should put your head on the line, but yes, but I'll still come back to say that the hope is actually kind of conversations going on. Well done, guys. Rick, I know you may want to say something. I know that we're really running out of time now.
Oh, just a quick one. The systemic racism is the part that maybe the adults need to work on much more, because it's a system and a structure. But then as an individuals in the community, I think what we all have to do is to have this conversation going and talk to people and connect intentionally, deliberately connect with people who may appear or sound different from us. Yeah, because otherwise it won't happen. Just one person who are totally different, try to get to know them, and then maybe it spreads.
Yeah.
And then make it easier.
And if everyone has that mindset, like it creates a snowball effect, because if everyone has that mindset, whenever someone sees something, they say something. And also with the systemic issues of racism, discrimination, like if we as a collective fight against that, like we are the ones that kind of enforce it. We are the ones that give those people power to like say those things or do those things against a certain race, certain group of people. So if we stand against it, if we are not for it, if I would say shame those people, but if we call those people out, it doesn't have to be public, it could be one-on-one. If you call those people out and give them, I would say, a stern talking to, just call them out and be like, hey mate, that what you did, what you said, what happened there was not it. It was not it, chief. Like that shouldn't be happening. When we call those people out, it allows them to ponder on it.
Yeah.
And if it goes that far, put themselves in whoever, like in the other parties' shoes, so that we can handle those things. Because we are the ones who, I would say, create the rules and govern the rules of society, but we are the ones with media, with our speech and all that stuff. So if we govern it correctly, but we can't say what is correct or what isn't correct. If we govern it with ethics and with good values and good attitudes, it can only get better. And so but thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, our guests Ephraim and Rita, for also taking time out of your days, your schedules to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
For coming together to write this book, and also being part of the LiME project, because the LiME project isn't the LiME project without the youth, the teenagers. That's why we have it. And again, if you guys want to get in contact with us, the audience, don't be afraid to message us on Instagram. Get a copy of our book. We have many topics to help you guys anywhere you are. Some of them don't apply to you, but still, no matter what you're going through, no matter what situation you're in right now, we'll try and use our experience to get this information to you. But thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Anyone want to say some final things? Got 1 minute left.
I'd just like to say a quick goodbye. Arrivederci. 再见. How do you say sayonara? How do you say goodbye in your fellow languages?
That's thank you.
Mine is Ohyunwie, Odabo. That's mine.
Odabo. Nice.
But it's funny watching other people try and pronounce Yoruba, man.
Yeah.
Check out. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a safe and a great next week. See you guys in 2 weeks' time. Sending love. Peace out.
Peace.
See you. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.